Does anybody else feel like they are currently giving birth to a higher version of themselves? Like you've had clarity, there's direction, there's an idea of what to do in terms of your life, except that what to do means stepping up in some way and releasing some form of ignorance, some unhelpful pattern, some kind of attachment. So it's like being born is tough when we go through this birth portal, right? So this is another Kundalini Chrism yoga update, your mother tongue. If you don't know, this is a tantric cycle. We go from root to crown, solstice to solstice, root to crown, solstice to solstice, right? And it's the language of how the Kundalini mother primordial energy of our life force mother is moving. This is what Kundalini Chrism yoga is. And she is always driving up towards enlightenment, self-realization. The mother's primary aim, the Kundalini energy's primary aim, is to move from the lower parts, the tamastic, inert parts of ourselves, the ignorant parts of ourselves, and it wants to move into sattva, or self-realization, right? So that's the mother's great aim. Kundalini wants to merge with Christ, or Chrism. It wants to integrate itself. And at this time of year, okay, it's a very special time of year, and once again, there is a South Indian fertility celebration at this time of year called Navaratri, which means 9 nights. Okay, and it happens after March equinox and September equinox, and it happens after, it starts on the first full moon, the day after the first, new moon after an equinox, on 9 nights of Navaratri, the goddess. It's an observance of the 9 aspects of the Great Mother, this primordial energy that is the absolute. So there's the absolute God, right? The ineffable one that we can't fathom, right? And that one manifested itself into creation, which is Mother. So, the yogis say that the absolute and Mother, or Shakti, is like fire and the heat of the fire. So manifest creation, if the absolute could manifest itself, it would look exactly like this. So Mother and the manifestation, the creative manifestation, the Kundalini Shakti Mother, is the presence, or God with us. It's the power and the energy of the absolute made manifest. This, all of this, look at this. This is her. And there's a language and a rhythm to how she moves in a cyclical, rhythmic beat. She moves us and grows us like she would grow a tree. We grow in such a way too. So this ancient fertility cultures in India still have observances that actually indicate quite clearly what the Kundalini Mother Shakti energy is doing at this time of year. So Navratri, right, is this 9-day observance of the 9 facets of the goddess. We're on day 7 right now, right? And the full goddess is Durga Ma. Durga means unassailable. Unassailable, right? You cannot penetrate or move her. Unassailable. Durga. The fortress. And each day is an observance of the 9 facets of her. And it's interesting because it's a 9-day festival, and gestation or birth is a 9-month process, right? So we are going through the birth canal of the Great Mother's energy right now. It's a very fast gestation, and we get born on the 10th day, which will be the Saturday. On the 10th day, they say Durga Ma, in the mythology, she defeats evil. Okay, so there's a story that goes with Navaratri as well. It's not just like tantric energy talk. The story is that there is this demon, Asura, right? In yogic terms, an Asura is a demon. Mahishasura. Okay. Now, he showed great penance for thousands of years, and Brahma, the creator, gave him a boon, said, "What would you like for all this devotion?" And Mahishasura said, "I want that no god or man can kill me." So Brahma grants this. And then Mahishasura, which funnily enough, he's a demon, He's an asura, a demon, but with a bull's head. Okay, which is exactly what Moloch looks like. Moloch is this ancient inverted deity in ancient Israel, which I believe that current Zionist Jews worship this deity without knowing they worship this deity, because Moloch requires child sacrifice. And he's a bull-headed god. He's a bull-headed figure. Okay. And it's so this is what Mahishasura looks like as well. Interesting. And he starts to wreak havoc in the three lokas of heaven, earth, and the underworld. He starts to just destroy the entire place. Okay, a lot like Moloch's people. And the gods can't defeat him because he's had this, he's been made immortal, he's been given this boon by Brahma. So the gods go to the absolute Brahman, which is this three-faceted principle in yogic philosophy. It's the destroyer, the creator, and the preserver, which is Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, these three principles of God consciousness. And they say, look, what are we going to do? This guy is wreaking havoc. He's destroying everything. He's unstoppable. And what comes forth from the gods is they all bring forth their power, and Durga is created in the mythology, the great goddess. And she gets given all these powers. She's got 10 arms. She's holding many facets of power and creation. And she goes forth and she does battle with Mahishasura, and he keeps changing form, and she struggles to defeat him because he keeps changing his form. But eventually, on the 15th day, she kills him with a trishul. I brought my trishul. Okay, a trishul, this trident. We see Shiva holding this trident, right? She pierces Mahishasura with this. This is the weapon that destroys the unstoppable demon, right? So no god or man could kill this thing, but a woman could, a goddess could, our mother could. And I find it significant that she defeats Mahishasura with this weapon, because the trishul is a very important symbolic item in tantric yogic wisdom, and it represents, well, the three aspects that I spoke about of what God is made up of: creation, destruction, and preservation, right? It's also the three gunas. Gunas are these, the world is made up of three types of elements, which is tamas, inertia, inert energy; rajas, which sits here. So tamas is down here, rajas is here. Rajas is like activity, restlessness, fiery. And sattva up here, which is purity, enlightenment, self-realization. So it represents the three gunas as well. And Shiva is always holding this because he has balanced the three gunas in himself. He has balanced these principles of creation, destruction, and preservation in himself. And he has transcended this into self-realization. So isn't it interesting that the goddess Durga is able to defeat this demon that represents ignorance? Ignorance running a rampage, thinking it's the boss of things and doing things right, like the demiurge, right? If you've read the Gnostic scriptures, the demiurge, or Ildabawath, which is very much like Mahishasura, thinks he's the king of the world, and I know what to do, I'm in control, it's all about me, right? This aspect of the self. This aspect of the self is defeated by this weapon, which represents us bringing into balance and transcending a ignorant pattern in the self. A tamastic, sticky, icky, gooey pattern that's maybe had a hold on us, but now we are being born out of it. And the thing that carries us out of it is these many facets and the power of the Great Mother, who is our liberator. She is our great liberator. And we are being born out of it now, especially if we know that we're being born out of it. So it's messy and it's uncomfortable and it's still icky feeling, sometimes, but to know that you're being born out of something. And to remember at this time that the purpose of life is God realization. That's the purpose of all of this. We might be busy with many other things, our activism, our art, our whatever it may be, but the point of this, stars hucking up something, are you okay? The point of all of this is to self-realize that the Atman, the Buddha self, that's the point of life. And that's what Shiva represents, and that's what this represents. So Durga defeats this ignorance because of the weapon of self-realization and transcending identity. You know, my religion, my beliefs, my this, I have to have this, I'm all about this. And even our dharma can be our karma, you know. Even when we're in our dharma serving, that can become our great attachment and identity. So it's also interesting, I love it, because in Kundalini Chrism yoga, right, as we've crossed the equinox, solar eclipse, at the solar eclipse, as we enter Navratri, we're fully in Manipura, right? Manipura, third chakra, the city of jewels. It's where the jewel is given. And the flame, the fire element is ignited in the body of the mother and in ourselves, and the fire transforms and purifies us. That's what fire does. So we are going through the womb, being birthed through the fire of transformation and purification. And usually in Navratri, it's a 9-day festival, I said, and each day is a different goddess. But how it's been sort of conceived of by the yogis is that the first 3 days are goddesses akin to Kali Ma, the primordial, fierce energy. Then the next 3 days are attributed to Lakshmi, those kinds of aspects of the goddess: grace, abundance, provision. And the last 3 days are attributed to Saraswati, which is knowledge, wisdom, insight. You know the feeling of illumination, where you have direction, and it gets given to you in a dream, in a moment you have insight. That moment, that epiphany is Saraswati. Or Sophia, wisdom, insight. I know where I'm going. And she gifts us with this insight and this knowledge. Now we get given it. And it's interesting as well, because we're crossing the threshold into the second act. We're taking on the journey. We're moving in a direction. So as we move through this Navratri birthing portal with the Great Mother's energy, now we're in the last 3 days of Saraswati. We have this insight and we know where we're going. So we cross the threshold as the hero or heroine, clear in our minds, because the mother has given us this revelation as to which way we're walking, what we might be shedding. Because being born into a higher version of the self is difficult. Letting go of a pattern or an attachment or an addiction or whatever it may be is tough, because we've never experienced what lies beyond. But that's what we're called to at the moment, and we're all stepping into that. We're all being born into that. And just know that that's kind of what the mother is doing. So if there is this kind of feeling and experience and discomfort, it's okay, because that's what's happening on her body. And we're coming out root and sacrum. As we cross into Manipura, we come out of the darkness, the cave, into light, into consciousness, we get vision, we get the insight. So this insight, this jewel is given now at Manipura. Manipura means city of jewels. We're given the jewel, we're given the fire of purification and transformation. And so now we will take it, and it will start to refine itself. We take it and step out with it. And I promise you, it will land up in a place that feels safe and good. It's scary to step and own it and choose to be born higher. But when we do that, there is reward, there is a boon. That's how it works. There is a boon. You can't see it now, but there will be a reward. So Blessed Durga Ma, and sending love.